I am about to argue that this is the best romance anime of the season.
Touch without touch, are we feeling too much? I can't decide if I'm feeling able.
You cannot judge a book by its cover, and you cannot judge a light novel by its premise. The major components are also thoroughly generic that they typically indicate little about the series. Engage Kiss uses light novel setting Type 1 Class B, or floating modern city of light urban fantasy. The main character is main character Type 3 Class A, or the comically broke shaggy dog bounty hunter. And to provide structure, we have the time-tested magical girlfriend love triangle in red oni, blue oni trim. The OP is an infectiously energetic J-rock piece you can't help but enjoy. These ingredients are familiar, perhaps you have enjoyed drinks with these ingredients before, but no bartender makes a drink quite the same way, and much happens between cup and lip. Engage Kiss reveals the unique selling point it has decided to focus on from the jump. The pink-haired girl enters the main character's apartment uninvited to cook him dinner, though the misguided romantic gesture is complicated further by the fact that he is so broke that his utilities have been shut off for non-payment. He's actually at a fancy restaurant with his well-dressed ex-girlfriend begging and scraping for money and work, though he still has the pride to feign an attempt at paying the bill. Chaos then ensues when he returns to the apartment and his not-girlfriend who broke in detects that he has been out and about with another woman. Urban Dictionary describes yandere as when a girl is clingy and jealous to pathological extremes, pursuing the object of their affections beyond any reason or decency, usually manifesting as stalking or even murderously violent behavior. It is considered one of the foundational anime character types, to the point that TV Tropes needs a massive alphabetical list, though you'll notice this is a list of many side characters and partial examples. What I find so compelling about the destructive love of the yandere is what a plaintive, selfish thing it is to be obsessed with another person who doesn't love you back. He or she wants nothing more than to know more about the object of their affections, to be close to them. But to the degree which they even know what they want if they close that distance, there is usually very little consideration for their prospective lover's satisfaction. Maybe they have little other experience with human warmth and are so desperate because they have never received it anywhere else. At the extreme, they might descend into predatory lust, discarding their humanity to use all their intelligence and perhaps even the misplaced sympathy of their target and those around them to pursue their goal. This has a great potential for tragic storytelling, as they might return to their senses only to find they have alienated or even killed the person they loved. This particularly manages to yank and tangle the heartstrings when the perpetrator is a woman and the victim a man, given the unfortunate biases of our society. Unfortunately, much of the time, the yandere only appears in a watered-down form as nothing but bait for anime Instagram pages and losers. Anguish and aggression that only really lasts the length of a fan service scene or comedic gag, and can be stowed away without any real concern for safety of anyone involved. For a particular crowd, it is an appealing fantasy that someone would be so obsessed with you, person with no distinguishing traits, that they not only cut any ambiguity by approaching you, but will pursue you to the ends of the earth and blissfully lower themselves onto your dick, no matter how much you might ignore or abuse them. A relationship with much effort received, but none given. Anyways, Engage Kiss. There's a competent use of a Monster of the Week structure to slowly tease out the details of the characters and the world. The latter might be Baryon City, where they harvest orgone energy, and the former features the aforementioned pink-haired demon girl Kisara, who harvests energy from the protagonist by kissing, hence the title. I'm not sure if this is the kind of referential which is endearing or the kind that reeks of being uncreative, but every time someone actually does kiss, it lives up to the title and engages. At least, if you want to see well-animated, intimate makeout scenes with a good bit of squish. And then I feel really fucking old. Which is odd because despite convention and appearance, these characters are meant to be adults of some kind. The main character is into his second job and has a lengthy romantic history with Ayano, who is out sipping wine with the ladies. Kisara is a late high schooler, presumably because her character design included a school uniform. I call these videos regular anime reviews because I really dislike when people go around saying, this is not like all the generic anime. It's my least favorite fallacy in reviewing anything. This is a regular anime like all the others. However, I do find these characters a little easier to relate to than the next light novel battle rom-com thing because they aren't just kids. And that's good because I think there's really something to the romance here. Here's the setup. Shu here was working at the same demon hunting company as Ayano, the pretty one, and they were dating. She was often unsatisfied with the relationship because he was out slaying demons every night instead of slaying that ass, but loves him regardless. Then, Shu breaks up with her, leaves the company, and goes into a rather unsuccessful business as a freelancer in contract with Kisara, the demon girl. You see, when the contract is fulfilled by the two of them graphically making out, she becomes ludicrously powerful, to the point that no other demons in the setting are even any kind of threat. Were his business sense any better, this makes this duo's services quite valuable to the city government, as it has no military arms of its own, and the other demon hunters are kind of useless. Sneaker's memories of the past are but a small price to pay. But what it is a price, and that's what I find so dramatic about Engage Kiss. Tim's here really does not seem to care about anything other than attaining power and information so he can avenge his family and potentially save his sister. He would prefer that his relationships with Demon Girl remain entirely transactional, allowing him to continue extracting money and emotional support and the good head from Ayano, who still pines after him. He may gradually sacrifice his memories and his very identity for demonic firepower, but he blatantly, if passive-aggressively, uses everyone around him. The only person you actually do see him get emotionally invested in is the one person who actually humors his quest for vengeance. All too often, the harem anime protagonist has the red-blooded male audience saying, "Damn, if I was that guy, I would do unspeakable things." But he is too much of a directionless, sexless sack of potatoes to actually have any agency in his own story. Despite having a similarly goofy, non-committal manner, Yeezy's slide here actually does situate the thick ones, and then kicks them to the curb and literally erases them from his memory the second they stop being useful to him. Kisara is merely the latest, though her love is more one-sided and her usefulness far greater. In this context, her yandere antics become something even more pitiful, as she absorbs more of his memories and knows increasingly well what kind of man he is. She even starts blaming herself for enabling him, the irony being that she starts looking like the less obsessed one. I was just reading the novel Willful Disregard by Lena Anderson, a novel about love, which depicts people like this in the most realistic terms possible. A strong, intelligent young woman falls hopelessly in love with an older artist who sees himself as having better things to do, and wants little to do with her besides casual sex. It's not at all flattering for the principals, and yet at moments I think that I would want to be loved as Escher does. I think I was, once, and yet I pushed her away. If you are being uncharitable, you could say I'm saying that Engage Kiss is the most interesting anime of the season because the protagonist hates women. Of course, I appreciate it only as Shu being a manipulative, triangulating asshole with delusions of grandeur, because at these moments, not the moments where he's betting bombshells, I see way too much of myself in him. And that personal appeal has kept me watching. Should you watch Engage Kiss? Not really. The characters themselves are all two-dimensional regardless of bust size, and the actual background intrigue plot is nothing really to write home about. As delightfully devious as I find the love triangle to be, I'd really have to be convinced that this story isn't intent on rehabilitating this dickhead and giving him true love without any real lessons learned, never mind capable of spinning more good character development out of it. This season alone you could be watching Isekai Oji-san, another little romantic comedy focused on college-age kiddos, which is funny and heartfelt and has cuter girls. But maybe you should watch one of those highly acclaimed early or pre-aughts series that's been sitting on your plan-to-watch list forever, if you insist on watching anime today. Have a good night.